The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. New York Mets baseball. Past, present, and future. The past was a lot better than the future and the present, as Archie Bunker would say. Robert Cole, Marty Rose with us tonight. Let's get your analyzation, gentlemen. Get right to it. It isn't a pretty picture. I'm going to let you guys have at it and not hear my voice tonight. So, gentlemen, Robert, you're with us loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
And Marty, too.
Yep, I'm here. Very good.
Okay. Have at it, guys. Start with you, Marty Rose.
Okay, well, the first half of the season is over, and I would say that going by early season expectations, this is one of the worst, if not the worst, half of a season that I can remember, and it just gets worse and worse. And it's not just injuries, it's the lack of position players being basically any good. They have really nobody out there to write home about. The first half of the season, I would say Cabrera has been very good. His contract is up. I'm sure somebody might be interested in picking him up before the trading deadline. Maybe we could get something for him. I would hope so. But there's not one other guy that has even been close to what's on the back of their baseball card. It's just terrible. And if it wasn't for the starting pitching, which lately has been very good, I would have to say, up and down for the top four guys at least, outside of that, they may never win a game. So it's very frustrating, and it's hard to watch some of these games, especially that one where against Pittsburgh, where they had a 3-0 lead, and the manager self-destructed and Familia self-destructed, and it's very hard to watch. Robert, do you agree?
Well, to put it in perspective, Marty, okay, the month of June was the worst month in Mets history, going back to 1962. This was the worst winning percentage or losing percentage that they have ever had. So that kind of puts it in perspective. And something else put things in perspective of the way the Mets operate. Yesterday was the annual pay Bobby Bonilla $1.2 million day. Every July 1st, he gets paid $1.2 million in deferred income, and that continues until 2035. So that kind of gives you a perspective of how the Mets have been doing business for a long, long time. As I wrote on Facebook, this weekend, the Tampa Bay Rays go into Citi Field, and you're going to see a total opposite of what the Mets are when the Rays come in. The Rays are a young, exciting, hard-playing team, which the Mets are not right now. They have good young players. Probably their entire roster is probably getting paid less than Yoenis Cespedes is. And, I mean, that just, again, tells you something about the state of this team. And it's just very hard to watch. It really is. There's no excitement. There's no know nothing. You watch this team, even yesterday, the one game they won in the, I don't know how many last many, and I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm waiting for them to lose. Okay, they're winning, and if it wasn't for the fact that they're playing the Marlins, they probably would have lost. But the Marlins went ahead and dropped a fly ball to give the Mets a couple of insurance runs, and then Familia came in and remembered how to pitch for a couple of pitches, and we have a win. So hopefully July will start to turn around, but I'm not very confident of that.
No, I don't see anything that would make things any different on the near horizon. No way.
No, and then we have, of course, Sandy Alderson in a leave of absence. Okay, Sandy has health problems, but he's had them for a while. I really look at this as a meeting of the minds between the Wilpons and Sandy, and this was the way they were going to ease Sandy out. They name a 3-man team to take Sandy's place, which means how are you going to make any kind of deals? How are you going to come to any conclusion? Other teams, who are they supposed to talk to? So it's very confusing, very, very depressing.
One guy has to be put in charge. All three of those guys were assistants to Sandy to some point. And if one guy is not named, you can't really do any business unless Jeff Wilpon is picking up the telephone, which I don't think he is. So, never get
Ricciardi was the GM of Toronto for, 8-9 years. Omar was the GM of the Mets for several years. And the other guy's been an assistant GM for 10 or 12 years. So one of them should be capable of being named to at least run things in the interim. And why they decided to do it this way, I do not know.
Yeah, makes no sense at all. Especially since they are going to get phone calls. I mean, there has to be some teams interested in some of the Mets pitchers, and who is going to be available to talk to the other teams?
Well, that's the thing.
Somebody has to talk to the other teams.
Yeah, Marty. Let's
say
has
to make a decision on a deal like that. It's mind-boggling. It doesn't make any sense. You have to figure teams are going to call for either Syndergaard or DeGrom, maybe even some of the other guys. Even Wheeler's pitched well lately.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, they're going to get calls, and you figure all the calls are going to start with DeGrom and Syndergaard. But if you have somebody in charge, they can then turn that talk to some of the other players. You go into a car dealership and, you're looking for a small economy car, and they try to turn you into something else. Well, the Mets could do that too, but, who's going to do that? Who has the authority to do that? Yeah. If, let's say Brian Cashman calls up and wants to talk about Syndergaard, okay, who does he ask to talk to? And then whoever he does talk to, do they now have to go say, well, hold on, Brian, let me call up Jeff, because he makes the final decision. I mean, if that's the case, then Wilpon should be running it, not putting 3 guys in charge. So it's a very, very frustrating, depressing situation right now with this team.
Yeah, I think when you get to that high a level of trade, I think you probably even the guy in charge might need to speak to ownership before he closes a deal. Anyway, for that type of a player.
Well, yeah, yes and no. I mean, if you have somebody, who's got the authority, I don't think Cashman of the Yankees now has to go and call up Steinbrenner. I think if they're going to pull something as far as paying for a free agent, he does, because that's money being involved.
Right.
But, I don't think that Cashman has to get an okay on a deal. I mean, he's proven himself.
Yeah, probably not. But he's not going to be giving up any big-name guys. You know, if the Yankees give up guys at all, they will be prospects. And they're not going to give up either one of these two young kids that are playing like the living daylights right now.
Well, but they're not going to get a top pitcher, you know, unless they're willing to give up, say, Andujar. Okay? I mean, if I'm a GM anywhere and they want one of my pitchers, that's the first name I ask for, and then I add on. You know, so I don't think they're going to do anything top level. I'm thinking more like maybe they'll talk to the Rays, you know, about who's the pitcher that they had that the Rays have now? Evaldi.
Archer?
Nathan Evaldi. No, Nathan Evaldi.
What's with Archer?
Archer still hasn't come back yet. He's still on DL. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't see anybody making much of a deal for him right now until after he comes back and proves himself. But with the Mets, I mean, you know, again, I would trade Wheeler. I would trade Matz. I don't think anybody is an untouchable other than Syndergaard and DeGrom unless, you know, you're willing to give up a whole ton of prospects for them.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it. But
you know, for Wheeler or Matz, you know, even a Nimmo, you know, right now, if you could get something good in return, I would think about doing that. Basically, I think this whole team needs to be blown up. I really do.
Yeah, like I was saying, there's not one guy that on the starting 8 that you would consider a keeper. Not one.
No.
So I mean, this is really terrible. I mean, all right, maybe next year we can look at some guys. We got this Peter Alonso. We got this McNeil kid, who's he's 26 already, but he's hitting very well in Vegas.
Right.
And so's Alonso. Dom Smith hasn't played. I mean, I know that he's had a little injury, and Flores has been playing well, so they've kept him in the lineup. I think the last time Smith played, he took the Golden Sombrero. And,
right.
He hasn't played since. So, I don't understand how they could not have one player that you would consider really good. Not one.
You know, and their
area sometimes looks like crap.
Yep.
You know?
I mean, they're 4 crown jewels supposedly from the farm system: for Smith, Rosario, Nimmo, and Conforto. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, you look at them and you just shake your head when you see the Rays come in over the weekend. Okay, you're going to see Jake Bauers at first base. Okay, Willie Adames at shortstop. Matt Duffy at third base. They have all these good young players that they're going to have for a while, you know, and they're building a really good team. I mean, this is a team that's one game over 500. The Rays I'm talking about. They have two major league starting pitchers right now, and the other 3 games they use their bullpen, and you know it's amazing, and it's going to just really show the wrong way the Mets are going at things.
Yeah. I think it just has something to do with the fact that they were in the World Series like 3 years ago. They were in the playoffs 2 years ago. Maybe they just thought, well, we need a couple of pieces here and there, and we'll stick with what we have. and maybe we can get back there. So if that's the case, then that was a big mistake. And,
well, I mean, to be honest, Marty, when you, Ralph, and I were talking during spring training at the beginning of the year, I mean, I honestly thought that Sandy made some good deals, on the cheap perhaps, but guys that I thought would step in. We were expecting, of course, that five-headed pitching staff, the five-headed monster. And
right.
Other than DeGrom, that hasn't developed at all. And, he tweaked a few things, brought in a couple of veteran players. I honestly thought we were going to see some good things this year. And, of course, we got fooled those first couple of weeks because they were playing like that. And then, suddenly the bottom dropped out.
Yeah. Well, that's been just been horrible. The shift is just killing so many of these hitters. I mean, you hardly ever see a ground ball get through anywhere anymore. Very rare.
Well, and
nobody tries to hit to the opposite field. Never.
And unfortunately, the sabermetric guys, these young guys that they have in the offices keeping, track of everything, they don't want them to go the other way. I mean, every time a slugger comes up with nobody on base, and it's a close game, you drop a bunt down, you have a guy on first base, but they say, no. We don't want to do that. We want him to go for the home run. So what if he strikes out? We want the home run. And that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing a lot of home runs,
you hear that,
strikeouts.
There's been more strikeouts than hits so far in the major leagues this season. More strikeouts than hits.
I know. I mean, and just as an example, I listen to a lot of old baseball tapes, old games. And in the 1955 World Series, Duke Snider was sacrifice bunting. Roy Campanella was sacrifice bunting.
Yeah.
Mickey Mantle was sacrifice bunting. Most of these guys today have never put down a bunt in their life. You listened to Callaway the other day. There was a situation when Dom Smith came up, runners on first and second, nobody out. They said to Callaway, did you consider having Dom Smith bunt? He said, I thought about it quickly, but I don't think he's ever bunted in his life.
That's right. What are they doing to this game? Oh, my God.
I know.
It's funny. I was watching Cabrera the other day. I guess the last game against the Marlins, and he hit one into the second deck, and I watched the replay, and I'm just watching his stroke, and what do they call it? The launch angle? Is that what they call it?
Launch angle, yes.
The guy, he's swinging from his heels straight up. I mean, it's just, if he connects, that's where it went in the second deck. But I could see that. They just do that. There's no such thing as swinging level anymore. It's just.
Oh, well, they used to teach, to hit the top of the baseball. The top half of the baseball. And if you hit the top half of the baseball square, you could hit home runs, but you'd also hit a lot of line drives, into the gap, stuff like that. They no longer teach that. They now teach this, launch angle, hitting underneath, don't worry if you strike out. And, it's just totally mind-blowing. I mean, it's not our game anymore, Marty. It's just not the same baseball we were taught and we watched.
No. Completely different. It really is.
And now, you have this commissioner who's trying to do all these things to save time. And, he's talking about, different things, doing away with the shift. Well, that's fine, do away with the shift. But now why not teach these guys how to hit the opposite way instead of doing away with the shift? That would do away with the shift.
Yeah.
He's also talking about limiting the amount of relief pitchers that you can use in any one game. Again, it's, just things that, just boggle my mind. You want to save time, then take a little less money and cut the commercials. We know they'll never go do that.
No, that won't happen. No. I'm really not against the pitch clock. If they ever put one of those in, I would not be against that.
Well, they do. There is a pitch clock.
There is?
Yep. In every major league ballpark, up on the scoreboard, there's a pitch clock. And it starts, and the umpires keep it also. And I think it's 24 seconds from the time the pitcher gets the ball back from the catcher, okay, until he's got to, get into position to deliver the baseball.
I don't think they enforce that. Because there are guys that take 30 seconds or more. Baez and the Dodgers. Price, I think, who pitched last night against the Yankees. Guys take forever to throw the ball. There's no real reason for it. Of course,
there's not.
And you got to have these guys stay at least 1 foot in the batter's box. I mean, with this, walking around the back of the umpire and all this stuff in the middle of an at-bat. I mean,
that's in the rule book. It's in the rule book that you have to keep 1 foot in the batter's box.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see them call a strike on a guy one time when he's not doing that, but they'll never do it.
Okay, well, yep. I mean, they're supposed to call strikes if the guy doesn't get back in the batter's box. They're supposed to call balls if the pitcher doesn't throw the ball in the proper time. Of course, when you get to the major leagues, they very rarely enforce these rules.
No.
In the minor leagues, in the lower leagues, they do. You go to some of these minor league games and watch the umpires. They're doing things the way they're supposed to do it. But, then they get up into the major leagues and everything changes. Yeah,
that's for sure. Well, all right, so what do we have we have Toronto coming up next 2 nights, I guess.
Yeah, Toronto the next 2 nights, I think a day off, and then the Rays come in for 3 games, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, good. Like you said, that should be fun. Now, Toronto really isn't very good. I don't see why you can't get at least 1 out of 2 wins there.
Well, if you remember what we've been saying the last few weeks, we keep saying that. Well, they're playing the Marlins. They should at least win 2 out of 3. Well, they're playing Detroit. They should win 2 out of 3. Well, they're playing, and it just hasn't been happening.
No, you're right. And it's really disheartening when your pitcher goes out there pitches 7 really good innings and gives up 2 or 3 runs, and they go out still losing. I mean, it's just. I think DeGrom was even quoted as saying that he's tired of losing. So that he usually doesn't say things like that, but he was quoted as saying that the other day. And,
well, I mean, at some point you're just going to get frustrated, and you have to say that. I don't like to see guys get fired. I think managers should be given more of a chance. But right now, the way this team is playing, you almost have to fire Mickey Callaway just to light a fire under the team.
The only problem is that the players just don't have the capability. They just don't. The team is lousy. I mean, he could turn over the buffet table. And, for what? These guys just aren't that good.
Well, the other part of that is you look at them, they don't play with passion. About the only guy that I see play with passion is Frazier. Looks like he really wants to play. Nimmo looks like he wants to play. Other than that, I mean, I just don't see it.
No. Definitely not.
And you have a veteran team that you would think could, get each other going and get the young guys going, and there doesn't seem to be a leader on this group of players. Cespedes, when he's going well, can do that. But when he's not going well, he just becomes very quiet and moody, so he's not the kind of guy you can depend on. And plus, he's not there. So,
no. He's not there, and even when the Mets were in Miami, he didn't show up because he didn't want to answer questions. So, when he could have shown up.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's there. St. Lucie is a stone's throw from Miami.
Probably, I don't know, at least maybe an hour and a half drive, something like that. I don't know, but still.
Yeah, well, he could have jumped in one of his
hot rods,
antique cars, and jumped right over there, or he could have rode one of his horses.
There you go. He could have done that too.
Yeah.
Oh well. Oh my goodness. All right.
It's been tough. I mean, we almost needed that break last week, the three of us. I know you had something going on, but Ralph and I probably would have just gagged and vomited if we were talking about him last week. So
I know.
We needed that week off. The only good thing I can say for myself is I'm a Rays fan, so at least I have that to look to this weekend.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, they're a nice, like you said, a nice young hustling team. That's what you want to see.
Yep. It's
so I guess I'm gonna call it a night. I guess for tonight. I think we pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, I don't think we can throw any more dirt on the corpse than we did tonight.
Yeah, so let's just hope we can pull a couple of wins out of Toronto, even though it's not going to be easy. But one of these days. Well, we're undefeated in July, so let's put it that way.
Okay. All right, let's forget about everything else and let's start fresh in July.
There you go. Okay, Robert.
Okay, Marty. Good talking to you.
Have a good week.
You too.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Good night.